Have you spent your life being told you are too sensitive, too intense, that you think too much? Have you ever felt a quiet shame for the very depth of your own being? A feeling that there is something fundamentally wrong with you for feeling so much and seeing so much? What if those were not criticisms? What if they were clumsy, unintentional descriptions of your greatest, most misunderstood superpowers? The world has trained you to see your sensitivity as a liability, a flaw to be managed, a weakness to be overcome. But the profound truth, revealed through the deep work of pioneers like Carl Jung, is that your perception is not a curse. It is a highly advanced instrument. The very traits that have caused you the most pain are not obstacles to your healing. They are the raw materials of your genius. Today, we begin a new journey, not a journey to fix you, because you are not broken. This is a journey of retranslation. We will take the 5 most common flaws attributed to the perceptive soul, and we will reveal the extraordinary superpowers they have been hiding in plain sight. We will explore why these untrained gifts are the source of your exhaustion, and we will take the first step in learning how to wield them consciously. It is time to stop apologizing for your depth. It is time to stop shrinking your soul to fit into a world that is too small for it. It is time to learn the language of your own power.
Imagine for a moment that you are a highly advanced radio receiver, capable of picking up AM, FM, shortwave, and satellite signals from across the universe. But you were born into a world built only for simple AM radios. Your whole life, you have been picking up signals others cannot hear. Music, static, whispers, cosmic radiation. And when you tried to describe what you were hearing, the world told you your radio was broken. They told you that you were just making up the noise. This is the curse of the perceptive. In a culture that often prefers the shallow end of the pool, depth is frequently misdiagnosed as a disease. The world has given you a diagnosis for your soul: flawed, broken, too much. And today, with the deep wisdom of Carl Jung as our guide, we are here to offer a second opinion. Because you are not broken, you are just tuned to more frequencies. Let's take the first, most common flaw on your diagnosis sheet, the one you have likely heard your entire life. You are too sensitive. That phrase, it lands like a judgment, a dismissal. It is the label given to you when your emotional response to a situation is bigger than what others are comfortable with. It has taught you to mistrust your own feelings, to believe your heart is a traitor. But what if too sensitive is a profound misreading of the data? What if we were to give it its true name? The first superpower of the perceptive soul is the emotional radar. This is not weakness. This is not fragility. It is an advanced data processing system. It is your unconscious mind's ability to read the energetic field of a room, to detect the subtle dissonance between what a person is saying and what their soul is screaming. You are not reacting to their words. You are reacting to the truth that exists in the spaces between the words. Carl Jung understood that the psyche is not contained within the skull. It is a field, and your instrument is simply calibrated to perceive that field with extraordinary accuracy. Let's imagine Chloe, a kindergarten teacher, 35 years old. She loves the children, but she comes home every single day feeling utterly depleted, as if she's run a marathon. At a parent-teacher conference, a mother is smiling, saying all the right things. "Oh, we're so happy with the class. Everything is wonderful." The mother's words are a calm, sunny day, but Chloe's body feels a storm. Her stomach tightens, her breathing becomes shallow, her emotional radar is picking up a powerful signal of profound anxiety and distress from this mother. Chloe leaves the meeting feeling anxious and unsettled, and she doesn't know why. She tells herself, "I'm just being too sensitive. I need to toughen up." But she is not being sensitive, she is being accurate. Her radar has detected the truth beneath the performance, the mother's shadow. This is not a flaw. It is an advanced perceptual instrument. It is a truth detection system. The problem is not the instrument. The problem is that no one ever taught her how to turn down the volume or what to do with the information it was giving her. Now let's look at the second flaw on the list, the one that feels like a prison inside your own mind. You overthink everything. It feels like a bug in your programming, a loop of thoughts you cannot escape. You replay conversations. You analyze every possible future outcome. You get stuck in the weeds of what if. You've been told to just let it go, to get out of your head. But what if you are not stuck? What if you are simply seeing more of the map than anyone else? The second superpower is not overthinking. It is pattern recognition. Your mind is not just worrying, it is working. It is a supercomputer, constantly processing vast amounts of data from your past and present, connecting seemingly unrelated points to project the most likely outcomes in the future. You are not obsessing over details. You are seeing a system. Like a master chess player, you are thinking 10 moves ahead, while others are only looking at the piece in front of them. Let's go back to Chloe. At that same conference, the mother says, "Yes, little Johnny is just a bit shy at home." Another teacher might hear that and nod. But Chloe's pattern recognition system fires up. It connects that one sentence to the way Johnny clings to her in the morning, to the anxious drawing he made last week, to the tense tone she heard in the father's voice during a phone call 2 months ago. Her mind isn't just hearing shy, it's seeing a whole family dynamic, a pattern of anxiety, a potential cry for help. And so she overthinks it. She worries about Johnny all weekend. She feels isolated because when she tries to explain this complex web to a colleague, they say, "Chloe, you think too much. He's probably just tired." They see a single piece. You see the entire board. This is not a disorder. It is a profound gift of insight. The tragedy is that you have been trained to see your own genius as a form of anxiety. These are just the first two superpowers, the emotional radar and pattern recognition. There are more. Powers of integrity, of meaning-seeking, of inner authority that have also been mislabeled as flaws. But perhaps you are already starting to feel a shift, a quiet recognition, the beginning of a new story about yourself. But this leads to the most important question of all, the one that is likely burning in your mind right now. If these are truly superpowers, then why do they hurt so much? Why is the price of these gifts a lifetime of exhaustion? To answer that, we must look at their kryptonite, the one thing that turns these extraordinary gifts into a curse.
The world has a high tolerance for comfortable lies, but very little for uncomfortable truths. And your soul is a truth-telling instrument. This is why your gifts so often feel like a curse, because they force you and those around you to look at what is real, not just what is convenient. Let us look at the third flaw on your diagnosis sheet, the one that has earned you the label of being difficult or unable to move on. You can't just let it go. It is the argument from a week ago that you are still replaying in your mind. It is the injustice at work that everyone else seems to have forgotten, but it sits like a stone in your stomach. You've been told you hold grudges, that you are not forgiving. You have likely even shamed yourself for it. But what if this is not a refusal to forgive? What if it is a refusal to accept a lie? This third superpower is psychological integrity. It is not about holding on to anger. It is about your entire being's inability to function when something is out of alignment with the truth. Your soul has a built-in compass for what is authentic and what is false. And when that compass needle points to false, your system cannot rest. It is a profound form of honesty. Carl Jung believed that the psyche is a self-regulating system, always striving for wholeness. Your inability to let it go is the sound of your soul's immune system fighting off the infection of inauthenticity. Imagine Chloe, our teacher, in a staff meeting. The principal makes a statement that is technically correct, but emotionally dishonest, glossing over a real problem the teachers are facing. Everyone else in the room nods, eager to end the meeting, but Chloe cannot. She feels it in her body, a tension, a dissonance. She doesn't let it go. Later, it bothers her, keeps her awake. She is not holding a grudge against her principal. Her psychological integrity is telling her that a truth was violated, and her system cannot find peace until that truth is acknowledged, even if only to herself. Her flaw is her integrity, demanding to be heard. Now for the fourth. The one that has likely made you feel lonely at parties your entire life. You are too intense. It is the moment you ask a real question when everyone else is content with small talk. It is the passion you feel for a topic that others find merely interesting. It is the look in your eyes that says, I am not just here to pass the time. I am here to connect. And it is often met with an uncomfortable silence. You are labeled too much, too deep, too intense. But this is not a social failing. It is a spiritual hunger. The fourth superpower is meaning-seeking. You are not intense. You are starving at a banquet of superficiality. Your soul is not wired for small talk. It is wired for deep connection. It is searching for the nutritional content in a world that often serves empty calories. The famed mythologist Joseph Campbell, who is deeply influenced by Jung, said, "People say that what we're all seeking is a meaning for life. I think that what we're seeking is an experience of being alive." Your intensity is simply your profound desire to feel alive, not just to exist. It is the part of you that refuses to be numb. In a world that often uses distraction as a drug, your intensity is a sign of your soul's vibrant, beating heart. And finally, the fifth flaw, the one that might seem like a contradiction to the people pleaser. You are too independent, aloof, a loner. Perhaps after a long week of being a nurse, of giving your energy away, all you crave is a quiet Saturday alone. A friend calls, wanting to go out. You decline, and you hear the subtle judgment in their voice. "Oh, okay, you're becoming a hermit." And a pang of guilt hits you. Am I becoming antisocial? Am I pushing people away? But what if this need for solitude is not a rejection of the world? What if it is the result of finally connecting with yourself? This fifth superpower is inner authority. You have spent so much of your life with your emotional radar turned outward, focused on the needs and moods of others. The journey of shadow work is a journey of turning that radar inward. And when you do, you begin to discover a whole universe inside of you. A universe that is fascinating, rich, and requires your attention. Your need to be alone is not a sign that you dislike others. It is a sign that you are finally starting to like yourself. You are no longer looking for your validation, your entertainment, or your sense of self out there. You are cultivating it in here. This is the very essence of what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming a whole, self-reliant individual. Your aloofness is not a wall. It is the sacred space of your own inner temple. So let's look at the portrait we have painted. An emotional radar that senses the truth, a pattern recognition that understands the system, a psychological integrity that cannot tolerate falsehood, a meaning-seeking that craves depth, and inner authority that finds its own center. This is not the portrait of a flawed person. This is the portrait of a powerful, perceptive, and deeply honest soul. This is who you are. So we arrive back at the great, burning question: why does it hurt? If these are my gifts, why have they been the source of so much of my pain and exhaustion? Each of these 5 superpowers shares the same kryptonite, the same fatal flaw that turns them from a source of power into a source of depletion. It is the fact that until now they have been running on autopilot. They have been unconscious, untrained, unowned. You have been given a wild, powerful, and magnificent horse, and no one ever taught you how to ride.
Every superpower has its kryptonite. A single point of vulnerability that can bring the strongest hero to their knees. And for the perceptive soul, the kryptonite is the same for all 5 of your superpowers. It is the reason your gifts have felt like a curse. The reason your extraordinary instrument has been the source of your chronic exhaustion. The kryptonite is that your powers have been running unconsciously, on autopilot. Your emotional radar isn't a tool you pick up and use. It has been switched on, at maximum sensitivity, since you were a child. It never stops scanning, never stops processing. Your pattern recognition supercomputer never powers down. It is constantly analyzing, predicting, connecting dots, even when you are trying to sleep. Your psychological integrity doesn't just activate when a great injustice occurs. It fires up when a friend tells a small white lie, forcing you into a state of internal conflict. You have not been the master of these gifts. You have been a servant to them. Imagine you were given a wild, magnificent, powerful horse at birth, but no one ever told you it was yours to ride. So instead, this untamed creature has been dragging you through the world. When it gets spooked, you get thrown. When it wants to run, you are pulled along, breathless and terrified. You are exhausted not because the horse is weak, but because it is so incredibly strong, and you have been fighting its strength or just trying to hang on your entire life. Your exhaustion is the evidence of your power, being used without your conscious permission. This is the core of so much of our shadow work. It is the process of turning towards that wild horse, not to break it, not to tame it into submission, but to befriend it, to understand its language, to earn its trust, to finally, gently, take the reins. So, we do not shoot the horse. We do not try to get rid of our sensitivity or our depth. That would be a tragedy. we learn to ride. And the first step in learning to ride is the simple, profound act of moving from unconscious reaction to conscious observation. You must learn to see the power as it activates, instead of only feeling the consequences of its activation. So, I want to offer you your first training mission. This is not a complex exercise. It does not require hours of journaling. It is a simple 2-second practice of renaming, of relabeling in real time. Here is the practice. The next time you feel the activation of one of these flaws, the next time you catch yourself overthinking, or you feel that familiar pang of being too sensitive, I want you to do 3 things. First, just notice the feeling, as you've always done. Second, take one conscious breath. This is a sacred pause, a pattern interrupt. And third, in the quiet of your own mind, you are going to gently rename the experience. You are going to call it by its true name. Let's return to Chloe, our teacher, in that parent-teacher conference. The mother says everything is fine, but Chloe feels that storm in her body. Her stomach clenches. Her old story, her old programming, would immediately be, I'm being too sensitive. What's wrong with me? Shame, anxiety. But the new Chloe, the Chloe who is in training, does something different. She feels the stomach clench. She takes one silent breath, and she renames it. Silently, to herself, she says, "Oh, there it is. My emotional radar superpower is activating. It has just detected a piece of data." Do you feel the shift? It is a seismic shift. In that one simple act of renaming, everything changes. The shame dissolves. The self-judgment vanishes. The feeling is no longer a personal failing. It is simply information. She is no longer the victim of the feeling. She is the observer of the data. She has not gotten rid of the horse. She has just, for the first time, picked up the reins. Let's try it with the other superpower. She goes home and she can't stop thinking about little Johnny. She replays the conversation, the drawing, the father's voice. Her old story, her old programming, would immediately be, I'm overthinking this. I'm driving myself crazy. I need to just let it go. Frustration, helplessness. The new Chloe. She feels the loop of thoughts begin. She takes one conscious breath, and she renames it. Silently to herself, she says, there it is. My pattern recognition superpower is online. It is processing a complex dataset. How fascinating. The frustration disappears. It is replaced by curiosity. She is no longer a prisoner of her thoughts. She is a scientist observing her own brilliant mind at work. This is your first mission. For this week, do not try to change anything. Do not try to set a new boundary. Do not try to solve anything. Simply practice the rename. When you feel too sensitive, say, my emotional radar is on. When you overthink, say, my pattern recognition is working. When you can't let something go, say, my psychological integrity is speaking. When you feel too intense, say, my meaning-seeking is active. When you crave to be alone, say, my inner authority is calling me home. This simple act is the beginning of all shadow work. You are bringing what was unconscious into consciousness. You're turning a reaction into a relationship. You are beginning, finally, to learn how to ride. But as you practice this, a new question will naturally arise, a deeper question. If this is who I am, if this powerful perceptive instrument is my birthright, where did it come from? Why did my system have to develop these superpowers in the first place? What was the training ground that forged these gifts? To answer that, we must go back. Back to the unseen job so many of us were given in childhood. The role of the emotional parent.
So let us pause here for a moment and look at the new portrait we have painted together. An emotional radar that senses the hidden truth. A pattern recognition that understands the entire board, not just the single piece. A psychological integrity that acts as a sacred compass for what is real. A meaning-seeking that starves in the presence of the superficial. And an inner authority that is learning to find its home inside itself. This is not the portrait of a flawed person. This is not the diagnosis of a broken instrument. This is the blueprint of a powerful, perceptive, and profoundly honest soul. This is who you are. The shame you have carried was never yours to begin with. It was a case of mistaken identity. You were handed a diagnosis written in a foreign language, the language of a world that fears depth. And today, we have begun to translate it. But this brings us back to that great, burning, paradoxical question. If this is my power, why has it been the source of my exhaustion? Every superpower, as we said, has its kryptonite. And the kryptonite for all 5 of these gifts is the same. They have been running unconsciously, without your permission, without your direction. You have been a passenger in a powerful vehicle you did not know you were driving. The work of Carl Jung, the entire journey of shadow work, is about one thing at its core. It is about moving from being a passenger to becoming the driver. It is about gently and with great compassion taking the reins of your own powerful nature. So your first mission, should you choose to accept it, is not to change the world. It is simply to change the label. To practice the art of the rename. This week, I invite you to become a scientist of your own soul. When you feel that familiar pang of being too sensitive, I want you to pause, take one breath, and say silently to yourself, "My emotional radar is active. I am gathering data." When you catch yourself in a loop of overthinking, pause, breathe, and rename it. "My pattern recognition is processing." How fascinating. This is not a small act. It is a revolution. With this one simple shift, you are moving from self-judgment to self-awareness. You're moving from shame to curiosity. You are taking the first step in claiming ownership of your gifts instead of being a victim of them. To make this intention real, to declare that you are beginning this new chapter of self-ownership, I invite you to share in the comments below. Which of the 5 superpowers we discussed today resonates most deeply with you? The emotional radar, pattern recognition, psychological integrity, meaning-seeking, or inner authority? By sharing, you are not just leaving a comment, you are planting a flag for your own soul, and you are allowing others on this path to see that they are not alone. But as you begin to practice this, as you start to own these incredible gifts, a new deeper question will inevitably begin to stir in your heart. a question that holds the key to the next layer of your healing. If this is who I am, why? Why did my soul need to develop these advanced systems in the first place? What was the environment? What was the training ground that forged this perceptive instrument? To answer that question, we must have the courage to go back. Back to the unseen, unspoken job that so many of us were given in childhood, the sacred and heavy role of the emotional parent. And that is the journey we will take in our next conversation.